My name is Patty Spencer, and I am an admissions counselor at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan. I'm so excited to have you guys join me tonight for a presentation about different types of careers in the visual arts. I have been doing this job for a number of years now, and to be honest, this is one of my favorite parts about the job, is to be able to talk to students that are interested in the visual arts and, give them some ideas about what's available. I will make a quick note though, we are recording this. So if you guys want to leave your camera off, because it will be posted on YouTube later, probably tomorrow morning. So go ahead and leave your camera off, sorry. But then we will, I will also answer any questions that you guys might have. We'll have time for that towards the end. Probably be a little less than an hour, but we will get started in just a second. I have one person that just seems to be having a hard time getting in. She's still joining, it says, so maybe having some issues. Oh, well, we'll see how that goes. So anyways, welcome everyone. Like I said, I'm very excited to have you here. I'm going to share my screen now. While I'm presenting, I will not be able to see the chat, but if you do have questions and you want to put them in there, just so you don't forget, absolutely, you can do that. Like I said, I just won't be able to really see it very well. And I'm actually going to turn my screen off while I'm presenting as well. So we will go ahead and do that here in just a moment. There we go. Okay. So again, welcome. This is College for Creative Studies, and we're talking about careers in the visual arts tonight. So we'll jump right in. And one of the things we like to talk about to really help people understand what's out there, what kind of opportunities are out there. The biggest thing I want you to take away from this is that whole idea of starving artist needs to go away. There are too many people out there working in the visual arts in great careers. If you think about it for just a second, art literally touches your life constantly, from the clothes that you put on in the morning to the dishes you use for breakfast, to the car that you drive, to the phone that you look at probably too many times a day, all of those kinds of things. So again, there's a lot of different kind of opportunities out there. So what I'm going to do, we probably won't even see all of these alumni, but I'm going to highlight a few of them, again, just to start to get you thinking about what kind of career options are out there. The first one is kind of fun. This is Tim Flattery. He was a transportation design major at CCS, and he did that for a number of years, but honestly, it wasn't really where his heart was, where his passion was. Tim has been one of the top concept designers for film for almost 30 years now. And concept design is the visual side of filmmaking before they start shooting the movie. So they usually have access to the script or a version of it. And they're the ones that come up with what the characters look like, what their environments look like, their costumes, their homes, their weapons, their transportation, all of those kinds of things. He is also our Dean of Undergraduate Studies at CCS for the last about year and a half. And he's been working on films for almost 30 years now. So all kinds of different films that you guys might have seen, including the entire Marvel Comic Universe series of films that you see listed here or shown here. Hunger Games, Tomorrowland, Pirates of the Caribbean, RoboCop, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, just tons of different ones. He also has had a really cool opportunity to design one of the Batmobiles. So I'm going to share a short video with Tim and another alumni talking about that.
Why is the Batmobile so important? Because it's an icon. It's its own character in each movie. It's become so iconic because of all the things it's capable of doing and how it supports Batman and his cause. Out of all the superheroes, Batman is the most plausible. I think this warrants the car be made physically and brought into this reality, not CG.
There's a lot of challenges to designing something that's so familiar that so many people have so many opinions about and what it should be.
We notice that the car has less than 50% of the artist for presence. That's what the designers do. There's only 6 Batmobiles out there, and I'm part of one of them. That's pretty cool.
So I love his last line there about there's only 6 Batmobiles out there. And if you think about it, 2 of them were designed by CCS alum, which I think is pretty cool. Again, I'm going to jump around a little bit, try to highlight some different majors, just to kind of, again, give you guys some ideas of career applications. This is Kayla Donaldson. And even before she graduated from CCS, she was already being noticed internationally for her work around footwear design. She was able as a student to showcase her work in New York at the prestigious CFDA, which is Council for Fashion Designers of America, graduate showcase. And she was actually awarded the Graduate Fashion Week International Accessories Design Award for Concept Design in London. And she was also a winner of a competition between or sponsored by Foot Locker, Adidas, and Pencil. It was a design competition, so that's kind of cool. Currently, she is the global Jordan footwear color designer for kids footwear at Nike. So again, kind of a fun job that you never quite know what you're going to end up doing. Chris Houghton was an illustration major at CCS, and this is a great story of somebody doing what they really love to do. He is one of those guys that has been into cartooning from day one, and he has been able to make a living at that. Big City Greens is his most recent project with Disney. He and his brother have created it from the ground up, literally. He does the animation, he voices the main character, actually, and his wife, who's also a CCS alum, actually does the color on this show, which is kind of cool. And then Wendy was actually a crafts major back in the 70s at CCS, but she is the artist who created the puppet character of Yoda for the Star Wars films. If you guys have seen Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, she also created puppets for those as well. Again, tons of different things. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but like I said, I'm trying to hit different majors. Scott Mallwitz was a product design major, and product design is literally design of everything. Industrial design or industrial engineering, those are all kind of interchangeable terms. But he is an Imagineer at Disney. Personally, I think that sounds like an awesome job myself, but he was the lead designer on the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World in Florida that opened in 2019, I believe. So again, just was able to bring that world to life, and it's based on what he learned at the school. Judy too, she was an interior design major, and she actually works at GM as a color and trim designer, focusing on design and sustainable material development for future vehicles. But she also has a side job. She uses that same eye for design and color and texture in her business called Fate and Coincidence, and it's a jewelry design business. And she actually sells pieces all over the country, 60 plus stores, and it's a series, or it's a body of work that is based on using recycled plastic material. So, again, she did that as a minor at CCS, so you have a lot of different kind of directions that you can go. Taylor Langhals comes from a long line of car fanatics. His father, his grandfather, and even his great-grandfather all spent their careers building Jeep vehicles at various auto plants in the Toledo area, Toledo, Ohio. Taylor was a transportation design major, and CCS literally has one of the best transportation design programs in this country. He interned at the Jeep studio while he was a student at CCS, and he was hired by Fiat Chrysler North America as a senior designer, and he was the main designer for the Gladiator when that came out a couple of years ago. And then this one, Matthew and Andre were entertainment arts majors, and they are doing special effects. This is a great video I'm going to share with you guys as well.
My favorite part of this job is, as corny as it sounds, it's making cool stuff, designing creatures, you know, like, how cool is that? You know, I go to work and it's like work, it's a career, it's like a dream job, you know. I'm so blessed to say that I live out here and I work out here. It's something that I love, and I honestly feel like I shouldn't get paid. Being a visual effects company, we get the footage after everything has been shot, and we're expected to add to the footage. And there's a very multi-step process involved in that. Working with a work team here at Pixelmundo, as a senior journalist, it would be lighting, rendering, texturing, creating assets for whatever show that we're working on at the time. After these multiple step processes, it finally reaches depositing, and I bring together all of the footage, the lighting, the texturing, camera movement, and just bring it all together into one, and we try to make it seem seamless. The end goal is to make the director happy, clients happy, and we're willing to do that. Early on, and the fact that I could say that I actually contributed to one of their projects is unbelievable. My number one thing that I love in this industry is the opportunity, potential that one can have. It's limitless. It literally is limitless. You can go travel all around the world, get paid a tremendous amount of money. There's just endless opportunity, and I'm ready to take it all on. Having all my work finally, you know, in front of me and realizing that, you know, it's something I was a part of, it's very, very exciting. And just, you know, going back home and showing all my friends, you know, what I've worked on in the past few years, it feels pretty good. I've worked very, very hard to get to this point at CCS, and the fact that just continuously pushing forward.
The biggest thing I love about their story is, again, they're doing what they love. You know, they really enjoy that type of work and being able to do different things. Again, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. I'm trying to focus on different majors just to give you guys some different ideas about what can be done with those majors. Ji-Young Kim was an illustration major at CCS. She actually came from South Korea to study, and she had some success creating sticker illustrations for Facebook. She had work published in the New York Times, but she actually says that her favorite project so far was creating and publishing her own illustrated children's book. It was entitled Underground, and it's a search and find kind of book. It's filled with drawings of subway systems from around the world. And her work has actually been recognized by American Illustration and the Society of Illustrators, which is kind of cool. Another kind of interesting story is Molly Gillies. She was a craft and materials studies major, and she is actually a clay modeler at Ford Motor Company. And she was actually recently featured by Business Insider as one of the women who helped design the new Ford Bronco. And it's kind of a fun story because her grandfather was also a clay modeler at Ford, who worked on the original Bronco back in the 60s. So that's kind of a cool thing. Her focus at CCS was in the ceramics area under a craft and materials study. So that's kind of a cool opportunity as well. And then one more I think we have time for. Damarcus Holbrook was an entertainment arts major, and he focused on game design. So He has been a game developer now for over 15 years, spent the last 6 at Blizzard Entertainment, building a really impressive body of work as a senior world builder. So he's building worlds, building environments for games. Some of the notable stuff that he worked on was World of Warcraft, Battle for Xerath, Warlords of Draenor, and Legion, if you guys are familiar with any of those games. So again, there are so many great opportunities for students like these enrolled at CCS, and it just really, again, just starting to give you some examples of some of these different things. If you want to explore some additional alumni stories, you can find those on our website for sure. And like I said, just in case some of you have just joined us, my name is Patty Spencer, and we are talking about careers in the visual arts. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I can't see it right now, but I will check it when we're done, and there'll be a chance to ask questions as well. What I want to do now is talk about specifically some of the majors that we offer at CCS and some of the career applications that are specific to those majors. And again, we're just kind of touching, scratching the surface on some of these to try to get you guys understanding that there are options out there. First up is advertising design and copywriting. And this is really big picture advertising. It's coming up with the ad campaign. Very collaborative work. One of the main kind of career paths for these guys is art director. So they're working with all types of different artists, graphic designers, illustrators, photographers, copywriters, and bringing those things together to create those ad campaigns. So, think about all the places that you see advertising, right? It's on the side of a bus, it's on a billboard, it's on your phone, it's on a television commercial. So again, tons of different directions. If anybody has an interest in creative writing, I would definitely encourage you to take a look at the copywriting side of this major. That can be a very lucrative career path, working on copywriting. Advertising is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is a huge industry, and there's tons of different things for students to do within that. Things being slow today. Art practice is the next major I want to talk to you guys about. And this is probably the one that I always say scares parents the most and kind of perpetuates that whole starving artist idea, but it really shouldn't. We changed the name from fine art to art practice a few years ago. And the whole point of that was to recognize that these are practicing visual artists. Again, tons of different things you can do within our art practice major are concentrations like painting, print media, sculpture, but you're not restricted to those. So if you're a painting major, that doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do. There's a lot of crossover. There's other things. You can see the video on the bottom there is a video installation that they're putting together as a fine art piece. So again, different things. We are going to teach you the business side of this. How do you market your work? How do you work with a museum or a gallery? How do you create your own website? All of those kinds of things are part of what you're going to learn as a student at CCS. Whether you want to be a curator, you want to be an art critic or a writer or a restoration artist or anything like that, or a studio artist. There are different directions. One kind of side note I will say is for this major specifically, I would say it's very self-directed. It's a lot about what you want to do as a visual artist. That doesn't mean you couldn't have a more commercial type job, but that usually is kind of where these students are headed, just to kind of give you an idea. Communication design is next, and this major has quite a few different kind of things within it. I'm actually going to run this short video here and let the department head tell you a little bit about it. So hold on. Just
an exciting year here at the College for Creative Studies. The graphic design department decided to change its name to communication design. Decision was engaging classroom.
So again, different career paths with communication design, graphic design, website design, user experience design, interactive design, all of those different things, motion graphics, those are all part of that package design. Again, so many different directions that you can take that. Now, craft and material studies, this is another major that is very hands-on, where something like communication design is very technology-based. There's 4 areas of emphasis under craft and material studies. The first one is ceramics, and this is going to be everything to do with clay. So it could be functional, plates, cups, it could be something more sculptural. You can see the list there, clay modeling, like Molly Gillies for Ford Motor Company. You could be a studio artist, a technician, glaze specialist. There's a lot of chemistry involved in glazing technique with ceramics. So again, different types of directions that you can take that. Fiber and textiles is the next area under craft and material studies. And this is going to be, textile design, surface, pattern design, rugs. It can be, material that's going to be used for home decorating, or it could be material that's going to be used for clothing. We've had alumni in this department go into color and materials for car interiors. We've had alumni lean more towards the fine arts with weaving. They get into the color, the dyeing of materials, the textures, the patterns, all of that kind of thing. And then glass, CCS is one of the few programs in the country with a full 4-year program in glass. It's going to include glass blowing, glass fusion. Again, like fine arts or art practice, you're not restricted to the area you choose. So, if you choose ceramics, that doesn't mean you can only ever work in clay. There's a lot of, crossover flexibility in different majors to work in different mediums. Again, it's a lot about material studies in this program. And then also, metalsmithing and jewelry design is the last area under craft and material studies. And this is going to be everything from delicate jewelry design right up to blacksmithing. We actually have a forge on our campus. So, you can do jewelry. Hollowware is like silverware, things like that you would eat with, gallery manager, all that kind of stuff. You have a lot of different opportunities. Entertainment arts is the next area, and there's actually 3 areas of emphasis underneath that entertainment arts. The first one is animation, and again, this is going to be all different forms of animation: traditional, cell animation, claymation, stop motion, 2D computer animation, 3D computer animation. You can see career paths again as an animator, as a rigger, motion graphic artist, specifically character animator, compositing, storyboarding, kind of like what the 2 gentlemen that work at Pixelmunder were talking about. They were both animation majors as well, texture painting, backgrounds, all of that. And then concept design, like I said earlier, it's concept design specifically for live action film or game. So if you are interested in, coming up with what those characters look like, what that environment looks like, their backgrounds, their props, their weapons, their transportation, all of that kind of stuff, then this is definitely the major for you. If you're more interested in doing like concept design for animation, you would want to look at that major, or for cartooning, maybe look at illustration. We'll talk about that here in just a second. And then game design is the last area under entertainment arts. And this is going to be the character design for the games, the environments for the games, and it's also the level design for the game. So again, video game specialist, UI UX designer, which is user experience, interactive design, multimedia specialist, creative visualization, game developing, game artist, all of those kind of things are career paths that you could have within this. Fashion design, we are very excited because this major is expanding this year. It's been a fashion accessories design program for a few years now, 5, I believe, and it's been extremely successful. We have students that are all over that industry. But we want to expand this a little bit, and they're going to include clothing this year. So again, different directions that you can go, shoe design, trend analyst, pattern maker, specifically you could do either clothing, or you could do, shoes or handbag design for accessories. Trend forecasting, believe it or not, is a really important thing, because the fashion industry is always working on the future, on what's happening down the road. So being able to forecast what some of those trends are going to be, whether it's style or color, can actually be a really important step. So you're going to learn all of that when you come into this program. Film, we are very excited to have film be its own independent major. So with this major, it's going to include everything to do with film. So screenwriting, cinematography, sound, editing, producing, directing, whether you want to make feature films, you want to make documentaries, or you want to make television commercials, whatever it is, you're going to be able to follow that direction within that filmmaking process. So video editing, directing, digital media producer, camera operator, all of those kinds of things, director. Illustration is a really broad major as far as different types of careers. It's very rooted in traditional skills, a lot of drawing and painting, but the computer's here as well, and it's an important part of this major. Again, tons of different things you can do here: children's book illustration, cartooning, advertising, political illustration or editorial illustration, like it's in a magazine or a newspaper. It can get into graphic novels. We have alumni that lean towards fine art with painting. We have alumni that lean towards graphic design, and doing more digital work that way. Again, tons of different directions to go with this. New major, interdisciplinary art and design. We're actually very excited about this. This is really an opportunity for students that have multiple areas of interest. You're able to pull from different majors and really customize your experience at CCS. So, it might be classes in illustration and in photography, and you want to take classes in advertising, it's whatever combination that you want to create. So again, the career paths are pretty limitless. Again, knowing what, it depends a lot on what your interest areas are. It could include things like art therapy, studio artist, art and design faculty, art critic, all of those kinds of things. Interior design, this is any type of interior space. So it could be a residential space, a kitchen or a bathroom redesign in a house, or it could be a multi-million-dollar mansion. It could be commercial space like a restaurant or a bookstore or a hotel or a theater. There's tons of different directions. We've even had alumni from this department go into automotive trim and interiors, like the one we highlighted in the success section with our alumni that was also doing the jewelry design. There's a combination here of sort of traditional techniques, putting together a mood board or, a materials board, creating actual three-dimensional models. They're still doing that. And then they're also very technology savvy in this department, where they're creating these complete three-dimensional walkthroughs on the computer. What a great tool to take to your client and be able to show them what that room is going to look like when you're done. So again, definitely lots of different career opportunities there. And then photography, again, tons of different things you can do. Commercial photography, fashion photography, photojournalism, product photography. There's a huge side of the industry for like digital manipulation and retouching. So having that computer technology experience is very, very important. Sports photography, fine art photography, again, documentary, so many different opportunities within this major. And then product design, I kind of mentioned it earlier. This is literally design of everything. Industrial design or industrial engineering, those are all interchangeable terms. It's kind of like engineering without quite as much math. They are doing tons of different designs. So it could be appliances, it could be high-end athletic shoes like running shoes or basketball shoes, something like that. If you have an interest in that area of design, you definitely want to look at the product design major. It could be research, medical products, whether it's an artificial limb or a support system or something like that. That's a huge industry. Furniture design, even lighting. Industrial design, toy design is a direction that you could go with product design. Just kind of bottom line, these guys are either maybe taking something that already exists and figuring out how to make it better, or creating a product that meets a need, that meets a future need, like the electric car charging station on the middle right there. That is an example of something in the future. And then the last major specifically is transportation design. And like I said, CCS literally has one of the best programs out there. And it is not just automotive design. That's definitely a part of it. Car interiors, car exteriors. It's all forms of transportation. So it could be a bus or a motorcycle or a bicycle or an airplane, a boat, it could be heavy equipment like construction equipment, mass transit, like a bus or a train or an airplane, mentioned those, ambulance, anything like that. It also is about the future of transportation. And I'm very sorry about that. Apparently I didn't turn my sound off. It's about the future of transportation and where that's going to be, how people are going to get from, point A to point B in 5 years or 10 years. What is that going to look like? So again, that is another kind of career path as well, coming through this program. And then we also have a art education program. Now, it's not a standalone major. You can't come to CCS and just major in art education, but the way that it's set up is really interesting. You take one of the regular BFAs we just talked about, so any major you choose, plus you can do the art education certification on top of that. It'll take slightly longer. It'll take 5 years instead of 4, but half of that last year is your student teaching. Plus, we have had 100% placement for these arts teachers for years. To this day, the department head still gets calls all the time for positions that are available. She just doesn't have, all the students are employed, so she doesn't have anybody to send to those. Your certification is K through 12, but if you have an interest in, teaching at that level, this is a great way to do that, because not only do you have your teaching certification, you have your full BFA in whatever area you choose. So again, it's kind of a twofer in a way, having 2 different directions that you can go with that. I am going to come back to the middle here and actually stop sharing my screen because I want to see if there are, I'm sorry about that, no volume on the communication design video, my apologies. So thank you for letting me know that. But hopefully you didn't miss too much. It is on our website if you want to check that out. My question is, do any of you guys have any questions about the school, about the programs, about different career applications? Hopefully I've given you guys some food for thought. My suggestion would be to do a little bit more research. I'm going to give you the link to our website, which probably you already have, but just in case, I will stick that in the chat here. And I would really recommend going, and if you haven't spent a little time with that, checking it out, because there's a lot of information there, but you can go to the different majors, see much longer lists of different career applications than what I just had in my presentation. You can see where some of the students have done internships or been hired after graduation, the types of companies. And my suggestion for the students that are on here as well is to also look at the work that students are doing. And does it look like stuff you want to learn how to do? And if you're not sure about your major, that's a great place to start, is looking at some of those career applications, looking at some of that work, And you might find yourself drawn to a major, you know, based on what you see or based on the type of thing that they're doing, you know, and just enjoy what it is. Like, oh, that's really cool. That's all in illustration, or, you know, it's in product design. So that's a really good place to start as well. You can always reach out to anyone in the admissions office and ask us questions. Even if we can't answer them, we'll know who to send you to, but more than likely we can answer the question. And I'm going to give you my email here in just a minute to also, you know, let you know that if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. But like I said, anyone in the admissions office would be also very happy to help you. This is my email. Again, my name is Patty Spencer. Does anyone have any questions? You have two options. You can either unmute yourself and ask the question right out loud, or you can put it in the chat, whichever you guys prefer. So please let me know. I'll give you a couple seconds and I'll stop talking. But if anybody has any questions, now is the time. Like I said, any questions about the school, about the programs, application process, even I could answer a few of those questions. Don't everybody jump at once. Nobody has any questions? I'm gonna give you another 30 seconds or so. So please, like I said, feel free to unmute yourself. If you want to ask the question or if you want to type it into the chat, you can definitely do that. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to give you one other thing to check out. And this link is for our Airtable. There's a lot of additional stuff there that is not on our website. Links to our YouTube page. There are other presentations like this that are there for you to check out. If you go to YouTube and just search College for Creative Studies, those will all come up on all different aspects of it. Jacqueline, thank you for asking, what is the application process like? It's actually pretty simple at CCS. We have our free application on our website. We are also going to participate with Common App starting this fall. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to look yet, but it will be available through Common App too. There is no application fee, and that will continue even with Common App. We need a transcript from the high school and any colleges that you might have attended if you're a transfer student. If you're a high school student, the minimum GPA for admission is a 2.5. Higher is definitely better for scholarship consideration. And then if you do fall between a 2.0 and a 2.5, it's not an automatic denial. We always look at those on an individual basis. If you're a college student, you need the transcript from the high school you graduated from, plus all colleges that you've attended. So even if you took one class at a school and got credit for it, you want to request those transcripts. We do require all applicants to submit a portfolio. And honestly, that's probably the thing that stresses students out the most, but it really doesn't need to. For CCS, we want to see 8 to 12 pieces of your best work, period. It does not have to be everything you've done since you were 5 or even everything you've done since you were a freshman in high school, because that's not all going to be your best work. The work in the portfolio does not specifically have to relate to the major. So for example, if you're applying to the film major, you don't have to have made a film. Or if you're applying to the game design major, you don't have to have made a game. It needs to be stuff that you are proud of, that you are excited about, that you feel is a strong, piece for you. The content though is really up to you. You don't have to show us that you've tried every medium under the sun. Again, it's not all going to be your best work. There are 5 majors that want to see some drawing in the portfolio, and those are illustration, fine art, animation, game design, and actually transportation design. If you're thinking about one of those majors, I would say at least 3 or 4 pieces out of that 8 to 12 need to be drawing, preferably from observation. If you're not one of those majors and you want to include drawing, absolutely. If you're applying to photography and you want to include drawing and painting, you can do that. It's totally up to you. So again, pretty simple. Those are on our website. There are some examples of the portfolio. The one major that is has a completely different process and portfolio requirement is concept design. That major has very specific portfolio requirements. You actually have to do concept design. So if you're thinking about that major, definitely look at our website, to see that description and see some examples of that. For all of the majors except concept design, we have what's called rolling admissions. And basically that means once we get that stuff in, the application, the transcripts, and the portfolio, we'll review it. It'll take us about 2 weeks and you'll have a decision. Concept design, those applications are held and reviewed on February 1st, just after February 1st. You need to get everything in by that deadline date. For scholarship consideration, we do have a December 1st priority date for scholarship. It is not a final deadline for admission, but if you want to be considered for the most amount of scholarship money possible, you want to try to get everything into us by that December 1st deadline date. There will still be money available after that date, but that is the priority date. And I think there was another question in here. Thank you. Just thank you. Again, there's a ton more information on the website. There are videos like this specifically on the application process and the portfolio. So please feel free to check those out on YouTube as well. You can get to those through the link that I put in the chat. Does anybody have any other questions? All right, well, in 30 seconds, or not even 30, 10-second last chance for questions, and then we will wrap this up. I will get this posted probably tomorrow morning on YouTube, so you are welcome to check it out again. Please reach out to me if you have any questions at all. Like I said, even if I can't answer it, I'm sure I can point you in the right direction. So thank you so much, you guys, for joining me this evening. It's not fun to have to schedule these and have nobody show up. So I really appreciate everybody. Have a great evening and enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.